What's happening, weirdos? This is the return of Roy Wood Jr. He was on the show, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, long time ago, and I'm so glad that he's back. He is, as I tell him on the show, a day off. He has so many interesting things to say, so many funny things to say. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is a great episode. Check out Roy's new stand-up special. It is incredible. I'm not just saying that. It is fantastic. I laughed the whole way through. It's on Hulu. It's called Lonely Flowers, Roy Wood Jr. Check it out now. Don't wait. It's fantastic. And if you like stand-up comedy, why not come see me? Go to PeteHolmes.com for all my tour dates. We have Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Los Angeles, obviously once a month at Largo. Vancouver, we just added a second show for Vancouver, Austin, and Nashville. Hope to see you out on the road. We'll be adding more dates on there as well. So whenever you hear this, go to PeteHolmes.com and see when and where I will be. So I hope to see you out on the road. And thank you to everybody who's been coming out. In the meantime, enjoy this chat with the wonderful Roy Wood Jr. Get into it. First of all, it's really great to see you. Second of all, I loved your special. I watched it this morning. I fucking think
thank you, man.
It's dope. It really is dope. I get so excited when I see somebody doing like a craftsman, like that does stand-up comedy brilliantly. So it's really, really special. Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
No, we'll go on and on about that. Let me tell you, let me give you this premise that I can't make work because it goes back to Cool Edit Pro. In the 90s and early 2000s, you could just be cool. Like you could have sunglasses on and a jacket and lean on a Ferrari. And that was cool.
Counterculture. Yeah, that was it.
And now you look stupid if you're being cool in that way. If you're trying to be cool.
How dare you?
You look dumb, but you do. Like now it's like less effort is cool. You should look like you're not trying. But remember Richard Gere? Richard Gere was just trying to be cool and it was working. In the 90s.
In the 90s, that worked. It was like a dad's idea of what cool was in the 70s, was Richard Gere in the 90s. So we were like, charisma, approved, world's sexiest man.
You're so right. Because you know how show business takes a couple generations. Like you and I write a show about high school. We write it kind of like our high school. So people are watching a show about high school in the 90s that was made in the late 2020s. You know what I'm saying? So there's a delay. So Richard Gere was the 70s idea of cool based on a guy who grew up in the 70s writing it for a guy who would act it in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what it is, man. And that joke, I could see why that would be difficult to infuse into people because there's so many layers of inception.
It's hard.
Of what you're trying to do. I have an animal joke that I'm gonna try later on after the wildfires. It might be too close to the tragedy, you know, but I don't even have the joke like laid out, but the base premise, I have a friend who was unable to meet me for lunch when I was in LA because she adopted one of the animals that was displaced from the wildfires. And she's going through the paperwork process and what it is, and that's gonna and I was like, you know, they already have animals. There were animals you could have got last week before the fires. So what makes that animal special? And it's okay, cool. Went through a trauma, scoop him up. So if that's the secret to promoting animal so that's the secret to promoting animal adoption. Then the next wildfire, the LA Humane Society got to release all the animals in the path of the fire. We have to turn these captive animals into survivors.
But
because people love animals, because the fires are still going on, and I also did the joke in LA about 2 miles from a fire line. Probably not the best tragedy plus time. So I'm going to rework that recipe.
Yeah. I can feel that way. I wouldn't call it a bit, but I was just saying to Caroline and Katie before you jumped on, I was like, I'm having funeral chat fatigue. You know, when you're at a funeral and it gets really old, just saying how tragic it is and how sad it is. And I'm talking about when people I love have died. You get tired of talking about your uncle being dead. You know what I'm saying? And that's my angle. But sometimes you're like, maybe people aren't ready for the angle yet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'm going to do that on stage, but that is how we're feeling. That's like when you whisper, you go, Roy, it's kind of tiring being like, I know it sucks to everyone you see,
Yeah.
everyone you
I
see.
You know what mine is, and this isn't a bit, and even if you want to run with it, run with it. But for me, my issue, and this is going to get dark, dead comedian just died energy at the comedy club.
Yeah, I get that.
Like I am, for the people who don't understand what I'm saying, when a comedian dies tragically, regardless the circumstance, pick a death, pick a cause of death. The comedy club is this place where we all kind of come to commit, like out on TV when the cops all go to the bar after old Jimmy saved the kid but died at the end of the movie. And
Yeah, yeah.
so that energy, I'm I'm emotionally exhausted on. This is a weird
Bro.
job where the longer you do it, the more dead people, the more dead coworkers you
Yeah,
acquire.
yeah, yeah.
And the idea of just being, and it's weird because I'm 25, I started in 98, but you're seeing the young comics 3 years, 4 years in, and they're getting hit with death way more than I feel like you and I did
Mm,
early on. I feel like we got a death like every 5 to 8 years,
mm,
and then that gap started closing
mm.
more and more. So
Yeah.
I get what you're saying about the funeral chit chat. It's just the energy of trying to act like nothing's wrong.
I'll add to that.
Everybody's in shambles.
What I hated, and I remember when Bob Saget passed, this is the last time I saw this, people would make a really dark joke about him, about whatever, and then go, Bob would have loved it. Bob would have loved that joke. And I'm like, first of all, he wouldn't because it sucked. It was horrible. Stop using a dead person's legacy to greenlight your terrible riff. He would have loved it. He would have. You said nothing. You just offended everybody. That wasn't even a bit. So you get it. Let's go back. I do want to talk a little bit about your special. You know, it's funny, dude. I just filmed my special in Portland, and we're wearing very similar jackets.
Yellow? You did some yellow action?
Mine's the khaki version of the same jacket you're wearing.
Okay.
It's not quite
Okay.
right.
Yeah. I
Yours
do
is,
custom buttons, which is so silly, but it's the one thing I like. So
tell
like
me
the
what you
kind
mean.
of the magenta buttons on my jacket for my special, those aren't that's not off the
Uh,
rack. I buy it, it was brown buttons, and then I go to the stylist and I go, put some motherfucking magenta on my shit. Because I want some flowers and it's gonna match what's on the stage and shit. And I did
yeah,
that for the special before this one. I just put different color buttons on. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll be the button guy. There
that's a
was
pro tip. Little
there,
accent.
there was a comedian I worked with, shit, man, year one, year two. I don't even remember his name, Lou something. But he was the comic in the red shoes. That was his thing. Like that was his branding. Was
Wow.
just no matter what he wore, ankles up, you getting red shoes.
Mm.
And that was gonna be like his branding thing or whatever. He was a late night writer out of LA. But I remember that 25 years later, and I go,
Yeah.
fine, I get it. Buttons.
It's funny that you
That's
say
gonna be
that,
my
dude,
thing.
because I'm so glad I'm done with my special. I'd love to hear about your experience. When you're done after the fact, I realized just how much thought and consideration and really stress I was carrying leading up to the filming of it. Because you're going like a normal show, I'm not like, what shoes am I going to wear? And a special, I always think of Ellen. Ellen did a special where she was wearing blue sneakers. And I always remember that one as the blue sneaker special. And I'm like, well, what am
Mhm.
I going to wear for this? Never worry about the length of my hair or like even how fit I am or what I'm wearing. The stress. Did you experience that stress going into that? I mean, like you got a lot of production. It's a nice theater. Did you feel under the gun to get it right?
My issue was more the runway to shoot it. Lou Deck is his name. I want to give respect to comedians.
We're
That's
gonna
the
edit
red
that out.
shoe guy.
Edit that out.
My issue was the amount of runway that I had to shoot the special. So I, who and I, we make the deal top of 2024. And we go, all right, we'll shoot this at some point this year. And my idea was the CNN show happened. I get the CNN contract in like March, and we're going to launch in the fall. So I go to Hulu. Hey, um, I think I want to shoot the special close to the election. That way we can do it. And if the tone of the country is changing, I will have the freshest, whatever.
Mm.
And then the closer and closer we got that summer, I was like, I don't know if I want to be doing a CNN show for the first time and going out on the road on the weekend and hosting. I mean, you're
Hmm.
touring and hosting. You did that with the TBS shit back in the day.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's psychopathic behavior. And so,
Dude, to quote your special, it's 7 shotguns. That right
yeah.
there, that's 7 shotguns right there. And that's how good your special is.
So,
There's so many good little nuggets of language that are so good. Anyway, keep going.
bro, so I go back to Hulu and I'm like, can we move this up a little bit to the fall? And I only had 3 or 4 months of runway. The jokes were already about 70% there anyway. So
Mm.
let's just get in the blender for 3 months, go out on the road hard every week and really get the set tight. And let's just shoot it and get it out of the way. And then I can focus solely on the
Yes.
CNN thing.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out perfectly because the more I started writing the material, the less I wanted to be political. And the more I felt like, to your point about joke development, I didn't want to do no more politics. Like I did
Mm.
that for 8 years in Daily Show. I did 3 specials. If you want to hear me talk about race and reform and equality and all of the letters and the coalitions, and
Yeah.
mm, I just noticed that motherfuckers are lonely. Everybody is just miserable. How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do the special about that. And
Yeah.
that's what it became. And so I'm glad that I didn't try to force any Joe and Kamala material in there because now you get to January when you're finally airing. The political winds change too much, but loneliness and social abandonment, oh, that's going to be around for a
That's right.
long time.
That's right. And social media scoops you so fast, so fast. Like
Yep.
anything that happens, take like the Will Smith slap. The day one it happens, someone's gonna get the bit, someone's gonna get the angle. You're not gonna top it. That's my strategy. I'm like, don't even try. But
Only two people, only two comedians, in my opinion, did slap material that I feel like will be evergreen past the moment of the zeitgeist.
mm,
Chris Rock himself and Marlon Wayans did a Netflix special the year after the slap. And the special was told from the point of view of him knowing all 3 parties involved, Will, Jada, and Chris. They're
oh
all his
wow,
friends. So I'm
oh
like,
wow,
oh, he's had a front row seat for 20 years and interacted. So his perspective is deeper than if it had been me, motherfucker wouldn't have been no more Oscars. I'd have choked that motherfucker. Like, okay, that's fine, but put that on YouTube. Like for me,
yeah.
that I wouldn't want a joke like that immortalized forever in a special.
What was his take? I know you're not Marlon Wayans, but we brought it up. I'm interested. Did he have an interesting interpretation?
Yeah, it was more of a I can understand how this happened. How did they get to this place emotionally?
Like the
And
history
then
of it.
he correct, and he basically take he flashbacks in time and walks you through his
Mm,
relationship with Will. Then his relationship before Will and Jada even dated.
mm,
He's like talking to so that was very Ali Sadiq-ish
mm,
in the sense of here's a perspective that no one else has on this topic.
mm.
So yes, I want to hear Marlon Wayans talk about the slap. But for me, man, it was that the logistics of shooting. We shot in DC. We went to the Lincoln Theater, which is a beautiful venue. Country Wayne shot there. Nick Kroll shot his special there. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I know they have crew that can do the job right. But for me, with wardrobe, it's the last thing I decide on because it's, well, what's the theme of the special? What do you want it to be? And da, da, da. And then once I get to that place, it's like, oh, okay. Well, and so then what I opted for was a single flower on the stage on a big graphic,
Hmm.
behind me
Hmm.
with the idea that, people are all beautiful, but if we come together, we're a beautiful bouquet. Like that's the corny summation of why I called it Lonely Flowers. And I go, well, what do I want to wear? And I'm like, well, fuck it. I like that flower up there on the wall. I'll wear that too. And it took Hannibal Buress to point this out. He said, he texted me when he saw the trailer. He goes, hey, man, Hannibal talks. Hey man, I think you're the first comedian in his special to wear the background of his special on the shirt he wore in his special. I was like, thanks. And you're not sure if that's a compliment or not.
Like, do I thank you? Like, what do
Yeah.
I say here? Yeah.
But when you explained it, it made sense because the flower and the symbolism of it is important. And I'm trying to draw people's attention to it
Yeah.
without like pointing it out explicitly. So yeah, it worked out. But
No, every detail, but most importantly, the set. I can't believe. Well, let's just say respect. If you were like, okay, it's 70% there, I'll tour it hard and we'll shoot this because this feels like an act. It's tight. It's fucking tight. It's polished. It's thematic. You are saying something. I feel like this is old man talk, but when I watch stand up, I'm just like, they're not saying anything. It could be clean, it could be dirty, it could be this, it could be that. Doesn't matter. But I'm just like, tell me something about what it
yeah.
feels like to be you. Because it is weird. We are isolated. It is lonely. It doesn't have to be lofty, but I want to learn something about your perspective. And every bit you have, I'm like, I know Roy better. I know Roy better. And I know the world a little better. I know how people are looking at the world a little better. So it's really, 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 really tight. I am curious. I again, just to infuse this with where I'm coming from, I've been doing this over 20 years. I'm still surprised that when I do a special, you do two. I'm assuming you did two.
Yeah, 2 1 night.
Two on one night. The first one, I'm always a little bit like, oh my God, this is it. We're doing the special. This is the bit. Oh, that was it. I got it. I filmed it. I'm over there. You're such a cool customer at the Correspondence Dinner and stuff. I'm wondering if is that your experience, and if not, how do you do that?
I think it was Chris Rock who said that, nervousness is good and you should always be a little nervous.
Yeah,
Um, it's never left me. The horrors of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, if I'm taping this and I fuck it up, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, isn't we're not gonna have another chance.
yeah.
You want to know some real wild shit about my taping? I lost my voice the week leading up to the special.
What?
I didn't have my voice for the most part for the first taping. I needed the entire first taping just to get my vocal cords warm.
What?
Only used a single joke from the first show. A single joke. The entirety of Lonely Flowers, 99% of it is the second show. I did so many fucking sets leading up to the special that I didn't budget in rest because I'm a moron. There is footage of me that your listeners can go find. It's still on YouTube. It's the Congressional Correspondence Dinner. It's like the AAA ball precursor to the White House Correspondence Dinner. If you do
Yeah.
well at Congressional, you get the call up to the big leagues. I'd lost my voice for that one, completely lost it. And Trevor Noah put me on to this vocal coach. He's retired now, like a voice doctor, a vocal ENT, whatever.
Yeah.
And my voice is fucked on Thursday. We're doing this on like a Saturday in DC. And Trevor Noah just hands me a phone number. Tell him I gave you this number and tell him and go and see him. And I go to this office on the east side, and it's every Tony and Grammy Award winning vocalist you can name since the 1960s. There is an autographed headshot on the wall. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. So this dude, all he does is fix entertainers' vocal cords. And this motherfucker gave me some sort of Mr. Miyagi concoction. He goes, sip this an hour before you perform. Take these two pills 20 minutes before you perform. Take this one as you're walking to the stage. And I'll be damned if, as I'm walking to the stage, my voice worked just long enough to get through the Congressional Correspondence Dinner. My voice was about at that or going into the day before on my Lonely Flowers taping. So now I'm on vocal rest. So now I can't even direct and tell people what I need during the day.
Hmm.
This is on vocal rest. We shoot the first special. It's fine. We could use it. And honestly, in a real wild world, probably could ADR it.
Oh
But you
my
don't want to
God.
ADR, voice dub, dub your voice and sync your voice in studio with the performance from a couple days ago. Not ideal.
No. Not ideal. Can you give me a little taste? What did you sound like? I don't want you to hurt your voice, but what did it sound like?
Hey, y'all. How is that? Hey, how y'all feeling? I'm good.
No. Roy,
Pushing
it's
and could
things like
not do
that
it.
that make you realize that the audience needs to know you're in control. Would you agree with that? Like they
Yeah.
relax when you're fully functioning, fully resourced. And if you come out and you're like, hey, and especially some of the stuff you're saying, I love to say this, you got some hot takes. You got hot takes in the special, which makes me excited. You know, from the first minute you're saying something, and if you're saying that in a hoarse voice, I don't know if they're gonna follow you.
They're not because my comedic strength is changing octaves and speeds.
Yes.
Congressional correspondence, then I could get away with because that's podium jokes. That's
Mm.
all in one. Well, I've
Yeah.
heard of it. I've heard of
Yes.
her. You know he's heard of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus, we ain't gonna make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
been to? You ever been stuck in the traffic of a protest you agree with? Well, that
That's
ain't
right.
fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
That. Yep. Yep.
man, I went backstage between shows and I called the doctor again. He giving me some double Mr. Miyagi, your hands together, do this, do this, do this, hot towel around your neck, 45 minutes to a show, put this on, put the ointment in your, like some sort of smelling the vapors. Like whatever is in Vicks Vapor Rub,
Yeah.
there's a little vial where it's just that juice. Whatever. Fuck the grease, rub on your chest. Like, give me just the vapor rub of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Take the rub out. Just give me the vapo.
Just vapor. And you put that shit in a fucking steamer, and that fucking steam getting in your
Yes.
fucking nose,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
got on stage, man, and that shit was I was out of gas. I
Oh.
was out of gas,
So
bro.
wait, Roy, am I hearing you right? The first show where you didn't have your voice, you did all your Miyagi stuff.
No, I did the Miyagi stuff starting that show, but it needs a little bit more time to work.
I see. So
So
you're
it
warming
just
up.
yeah, it's just the Miyagi shit worked the first time at the Congressional Correspondence Dinner. And I think it worked faster because I was not stressing my vocal cords as much. But for me
Yes.
to work my vocal cords in the performative range that I need for stand-up comedy, you need to wait a little longer for results to roll
Yeah.
in. And
Yeah.
it's not like it's all secret shit. A lot of it is steroids to get the swelling down. You take antihistamines to get the mucus off of your throat. The vapor rub stuff is to help open up the airways and all of that stuff. So there's some super aggressive antibiotics to deal with anything viral that's going on in your system, penicillin and all of that shit.
Yeah.
So like, and then there's like an alkaline wash where it's like a saline solution you run through your nose to clear out you
Yeah.
flush your sinuses
Yeah.
of anything because the phlegm is what's it's stopping the vibration of the air properly across you. He explained it more scientifically, but
I think you're doing a great
basically
job. You got
there's
vibration in
snot
there.
on your vocal cord, bro, and you gotta get the snot off your shit. That's why you can't hit the octaves.
Let me
And
ask you
so,
this, Roy. Oh, sorry, finish.
no, that's it.
I was just going to say, and this is a leading question, I'm just going to show my hand. My first show at my taping, this was about a month ago, I go out and it was fine, but it wasn't where I wanted it to be connection wise. Your show's all about connection. I'm like, I said the jokes and they laughed at the jokes, but I wasn't in the pocket of connection. It wasn't music to me yet. And then
Yeah.
in between show 1 and 2, I, just like Rock said, I got nervous. And just like you just said, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I suck. Not quite I suck. I'm not that hard on myself, but I was like getting scared. And a voice in my head said, good, get scared. Get scared. Like, I want you to fight for it. And dude, if I didn't go out, and what I said to my wife after was like, first show I was asking, second show I was telling. You know, I wasn't asking. I'm telling you, this is the show. This is the show. This is the show. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
You're missing it. This is the show. And it was amazing. Now, I'm wondering, your second show, which I just watched 99% of it, which I really do think is just A plus. I just think it's A plus. It's fucking, and what you said, I wrote it down, octaves and speed. You're a master. You're not just speed bagging it. You're going here. You're drawing them in. You're making me think you're going to touch my heart. Sometimes you do. And then sometimes you slap me. It's exactly what you want. It's
Yeah.
exactly what an audience wants. But you're not, you're all over the place tonally and performatively, and it's really a masterwork. My question for you is, the first show of your taping doesn't go great and you're raspy and you're bad. Did that help you elevate to a higher standard the second show? Because you were like, this is it. I got to fucking do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was holding back, I can hold nothing back this show.
Yeah.
And the thing that I was most scared about the whole time, and then also, I don't know why this is a thing for me performatively. I don't drink water on stage
Me neither.
for two reasons.
I'm with you right away, though.
One, I don't like the continuity of it. When I'm watching, it fucks with me. If I'm watching a comedian who has water on stage, I can see the levels change, with the exception of Ron White, who has scotch or tequila, and you see it gradually going down because Ron White doesn't really need to edit and blend two shows.
Yeah.
And the idea of the depleting bottle of alcohol is part of the whole thing because he pours himself a drink periodically. So he can't cheat that. Two, when my mom saw me perform, I don't know, it might have been Comic View or Premium Blend or just some random 5-minute TV show. She just goes, why you need a water for 5 minutes? Luther Vandross sing for 2 hours. Don't sip nothing.
Dude.
And that is fucked with me for the entirety of my career because my mom thinks that a good performer does not need hydration, which she's wrong. But also, I want my mom to respect me.
Yes.
So I don't put water on stage.
Well, Roy, I think, okay, one, yes, of course we need to hydrate. Two, I think it's flip-flops. I never wear flip-flops on stage. Why? Because I need to look like I can run and kick.
Yeah.
And I can't drink water because it does look weak. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it is weak. I'm saying it's eating soup alone in an airport. It just looks weak.
Are your vocal cord, are you not a man? Are your vocal, Sebastian Maniscalco? Aren't you embarrassed? Like, I'm like, yeah, I am embarrassed.
You're up there drinking a cup of water. You gotta hydrate. Just do the jokes. Look, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but we are pack animals and we want the leader to be strong. Let me tell you something. Roy, let me tell you something. In a movie, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, whoever, Denzel takes a pill. Does he drink water or does he just throw it in and swallow it? We like moist ass, wet throat motherfuckers. Not a joke. We're still primates and we go, he's wet inside. He doesn't even need water. Every tough guy in a movie swallows Tylenol plain. He doesn't even count them. He throws them in. It's the same as a stand-up not drinking water. I'm with you.
So the second show, I'm going, if I run out of voice, I'm going to have to stop and sip water. And there's no water out here. Oh my God, how the fuck do we stop down in a recording for me to go, wait a minute, audience, which is worse than bringing the water on stage, is leaving the stage and go, excuse me a second, I need a sip of water. I'll be right back.
You might as well go get a back rub. or it'd be like, I need to go pee-pee. You can't.
You know, the most chaotic comic leaving the stage thing I've ever witnessed was Pauly Shore in Birmingham. He was touring, it's like Going Home tour, he was showing the pictures on stage or whatever.
Yeah.
And he has to piss and he just fucking leaves the stage with the mic and continues the show.
Yeah.
And you know, at the Stardome, the green room is like, you know, it's less than 10, 15 feet off the side of the stage. So you could conceivably go take a piss while still performing. And he just did it. And it was just so normal that we just accepted it. And like the audience was with it.
He had the mic with him?
Yes.
And he went tinkle tinkle?
Well, he took a piss and he came back. Sorry, I had to pee. The rhythm was not lost in his performance.
This is weird.
I don't have that.
Me neither.
Whatever that is that Paulie has, I don't have that. So
I don't have leave the stage charisma. What are you, nuts?
The only two people I've ever seen leave the stage is Paulie and Mitch Hedberg. That's it. Those are the only two. I don't know, probably drugs. God bless his soul. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But he stepped off and was like just murmuring in the back, talking, and then just walked back on stage and just didn't explain it, didn't
Wow.
say what it was. But that's Hedberg. Like that's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you're just happy. He's one of those guys. You're just happy he's here and
Yeah,
performing for you,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you don't trip on it.
No, it's like
But
seeing a
I don't
jackalope.
have that.
I don't have that either. And I already mentioned him at the Comedy Connection in Providence, Rhode Island, one of the first clubs I performed
Nice.
at. Yeah, right. The old bank, the green room of that club was the vault.
Ice cold, no insulation. If
I
it's
did.
40 outside, it's 42 in the green room.
Oh
Keep going.
my God, you've worked there? That is crazy. So Bob Saget, he left the stage and went and took a leak. I'm just like, I don't have that. And I once saw Wyatt Cenac, I've referenced it many times, order a scotch from stage and he just waited for it. I actually disagree with that. And I would disagree with that to Wyatt's face. I disagreed with it then and I disagree with it now. There's no reason to sit in silence and wait for your drink, but he did.
He didn't like crowd work and like
Nope.
filibuster it a little bit.
To
Just
his credit,
silence.
the bit was that he was just going to wait for it. But to me, I was like, this is insane.
I would be
Just,
horrified. But
dude, I heard it.
Wyatt knows how to live in awkwardness. Like that's what he bathes himself in on
Yeah, no, I
stage.
know. I know.
I
And
don't
this was
have that.
young Wyatt. This was Wyatt right when he got the Daily Show. So he already had that like gravitas. And I'm not like that. I'm not cool. This is what we're really talking about. I'm not cool like that at all. I'm not going to order a
Yeah.
scotch and make it. And that's fine.
I was just scared, man. I was scared of losing my voice. But once I got through the first couple of jokes, and then you can feel all the
Yes.
fucking
Yes.
medicine starting to work,
Yes.
then I was really into it. But then after that, I was
Boy.
done for like 10 days.
Oh, really? Toast.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah. I
okay.
was done.
I just got the chills because you're reminding me. But my last two specials, the second show was better. And in the first 10 seconds, you knew this is the one. You know what I mean? It's sort of like there's a magic to it. Would you agree? It's like, oh, we did it. We started the song on the right note, and here we are, and we're staying
Yeah.
there, and we're still there. And now I'm not even going to think about it because we're off. Like a good date. You know what I mean? It's like it has a flow.
Bro, there's like callbacks and stuff that I was doing second show that weren't even in my act.
Shut,
And like
shut.
just in the zone, just,
It's
let
not
me
the
just
right,
try
not the not
this.
not the rifle, not the rifle. That callback is
No, no,
tight.
no,
Okay.
no,
If you were
no.
riffing that, I'd be like, you should be embarrassed because that has to be there. The whole tour that had to be
No.
there.
There was some of the Foot Locker stuff, so much so that I don't even think the camera guys were like, God bless my director, C. Craig, because he knew how to get the coverage on it because he had watched my act for
Mm,
months. So
mm.
he already had an idea of what shots he wanted to call for what moments or whatever. And then I'm just goofing off and pretending to be an old Foot Locker employee. Like
Yes.
that joke was just, I
What
think
a
the basic joke was, um, I don't like young employees because they try to make me feel young, which makes me feel older.
yes.
Like, for
He calls you
connection, which
Unc.
is the whole thing.
Yeah.
Correct. If you want to feel connected, shop retail because certain stores still have employees.
Yep.
I like Foot Locker and the guy, whatever. And I just go, an old guy just goes, I know what you need. And then I just start acting out an old man telling me why I need
Oh,
arch support. And
you're telling me he goes, he looks like Stanley from The Office on Ozempic? Was that a riff?
Stanley from The Office was a riff. And then
Look at
there
my
was a
teeth.
second line. That part was a riff, and then there was like the radio thing. Yeah, bring me up a pair of shoes for a
I
black
sh
dude look like Stan.
I should
That
have
part's
known.
riff.
I should have known because you were having fun with it. You
I don't do
realize that
act
that's
outs.
fun.
When do you see me doing fucking act outs like that?
That
That's not my wheelhouse.
that kick you do to get the lady away from you that's trying to steal your employee, that's a good kick. And
That's
Steve
written.
Craig, your director, got a good shot of it too. I was like, that's the shot you want, and that's the shot we got.
Yeah, I was real lucky, man, with this special, and I say this with it's hard to compliment Hulu without it sounding like an insult to Comedy Central. But the difference is that in my first three specials at Comedy Central, a lot of that is budget limitations because they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to put the same amount of money into something that Hulu will. Hulu's backed by fucking Disney and
Mm.
parks. Comedy
Yeah.
Central, it's Daily Show in South Park. Whatever they do, whatever money's left from that pot, here's a couple dollars. Roy, get you a fourth cameraman, which is like
Cartman had
absurdly
a good
cheap.
summer. Go get another cameraman.
Yeah. So, the people at Hulu, man, they're really serious about committing to showcasing comedy, and that's
Mm,
part of why I decided to jump with them for this fourth special. They put a lot of don't tell comedy sets on their channel now.
mm.
They've acquired some other comedians. There's a bunch of Ali Sadiq shit over there. And to me, it's like, oh, y'all are serious about building comedy as a thing and showcasing comics at various levels. It feels like Comedy Central '02,
Mm.
'03,
Mm-hmm.
if they do
Mm-hmm.
it right. And that's not to shit on Netflix, but in terms of the mid tier, the AAA ball, type comedians who are they're funny, but no one's going to give them an hour yet. There's not as many places for that to be seen
Yeah.
on Netflix. So I thought Hulu was doing something different with that. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. You going after Burr, you got Gaffigan, like you got big names in the hopper. So I'm like, it's an honor to be a part of it, just to have my
Yeah.
name alongside them in a press release, man. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so the promotion on the backside of this that part has been amazing too, man.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that, dude. I had one specific question about the special. You bleep the name. You're going to get this a lot. You're going to get this a lot.
Oh yeah.
This is the early press. You're going to get it a lot. You say you're talking about the woman that you should have married, but you were scared and you riff it, and then you say a name and you bleep it. And it really looks
Yeah.
like that happened. Did that happen?
Yeah, I said the real name. And yeah.
You're going to get some lip reading experts in there.
What's the name of the woman you should have married but didn't because you were scared and now you're lonely?
Yeah.
Like basically man level account security questions was the premise.
Yeah, great,
Um
great. I had premise envy on that one. That's a great premise. And it's a standalone. Like you clip that, not that it's all about clips. I'm just saying that one in
it is
particular,
though.
it's a good clip. It is about clips. That's a tight
Canvas
clip.
lives separate. I call it earthworm comedy, where an earthworm you can chop and then it grows into two separate earthworms.
Oh my God.
Don't ask me why I know nerd shit like that, but I do.
I don't.
So
You're an interesting guy.
it's like, is it the Gila monster that gets a new tail as well? That's not the same, but it's like
Lizards
you have a
do.
special.
Iguanas do. Iguanas do.
Yeah. So you have a special. It is one worm. And then you have to take that and chop it into multiple pieces, and each of those pieces go off
Yes.
and live individually and create their own lives and
Yeah.
threads and
And
analysis of the world.
dude, a lot of my bits that went the most viral online didn't work in the special. Like they're not hot bits in the special, but they're interesting, they're unique, they have their own flavor, and that's what the internet is
But,
for. They will find it.
bro, they will find it, and it'll be something specific that you didn't even think anybody got. There's a joke from my third special that started getting passed around early January of this year, where there was a woman with a really big ass on Twitter, as there are a lot of big asses on Twitter. And
You
some
whispered it.
guy
As there
and
are.
some guy just simply replies to the equivalent of, my dick's not big enough to hit that from the back. That's not what he said, but he basically is one with a big ass. He goes, I ain't got the meat for that.
Oh my God.
And then someone replies, that's like that Roy Wood Jr. bit. And I have a whole bit about how women will get a big ass and then ask you on social media, do you have enough dick for this? No, I don't. You put a foot of meat in front of it, I can't reach it. It's such a throwaway, like this is a joke on the way to some other point. And they chopped that little piece of the earthworm, and now that's growing into its own little separate thing
Wow.
over there. So
I
you
don't
can't
have the
control it.
depth, Roy. I don't have the depth.
I can't. I can't get there. We can't from this
We can't
angle.
drill. We can't drill that deep. The drill can't break the top crust.
Thanks fucking Armageddon. I need another drill
It
bit.
is. It's Armageddon.
We gotta get 800 feet. We
I'm,
gotta get.
I'm having sex with something you can't feel. You're not even aware of
Yeah.
what's happening. Oh my God, that's good. Okay, so
Yeah.
you said the name. We're talking about the security questions, and that'll stand as an
Well,
iguana.
that's fun for the audience, though.
It is fun. You
Here's
let
something
something
for
happen.
you while you're
Yeah.
here. And then it's fun to edit it because I think the concealing of it alludes more truth than me actually leaving the name in.
Yeah. No, no, no. The whole thing is real and fun. And I think as we're rolling into this age of AI being able to create so many things, like I did this, I say this all the time, but Stephen Wright did my podcast. I actually recommend you
Mhm.
listen to it just because it's a fascinating conversation where we're kind of missing each other and it's a little bit weird and it's a little bit awkward at times and it's fascinating. It's one of my favorite episodes and one of my favorite comics. And I'm like, what I said in the intro is I go, AI can't make this. You know what I mean? It's so human. And
Yeah.
so that moment in your special, and I think we're going to see that going up, less perfection, more humanity in our art because we're going to have things that can make things perfectly, including a Roy Wood
Yeah.
special, maybe. You know what I mean? So you need to include those foibles.
I think you have to be okay with the roughness of it because I think that's what looks and feels authentic to people now.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the way, like, all right, so I think of comedy journalistically, just inherently as a craft. Like going back to what you were saying at the top about you're not saying anything. Okay, well, I feel like every joke I write, or every joke I've ever respected, either tells me who you are or it gives me information about how you see the world. Any joke, I don't care how funny it is, if it doesn't achieve one of those two things, rewrite the joke. It
I
needs to
agree.
be reworked. I'm not saying it's a bad joke, but I'm saying you're not informing, you're not giving me enough, right?
I love
So
it. Yes.
either report on what you see or report on who you are. That's how I feel about comedy. That's journalism, right? So if you look at the way journalism has been ingested over the last 5 to 6 years, where you have more citizen journalism and you have more people that are just out with a selfie cam and even grittier than Vice News type shit, right? Tiny microphones, just whatever it is, whatever thing to make it look weird. We're more inclined to trust and look at that. And that shit is not polished. There are no graphics. There's no flashy studio lights. So if you'll accept information in that form, it's a no-brainer that people are accepting humor in that
Yeah.
form too.
Yeah.
So if comedy always looks like it was shot in 4K with 6 cameras, but seven if you would Hulu, because they're gonna give you that seven camera because they ain't living off South Park scraps over there, baby. Big fan of Comedy Central. They got all three of my specials for free on YouTube. I gotta stop hating. But that you need specials, and that's part of it because that's comedy at its most highest. That's fine cuisine. That's five-star dining.
Yeah,
But you also need the delicious food truck equivalent to comedy now. And I
that's
think
true.
that performers would be better served if they have both restaurants,
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
you have like, I don't know, Panera and then Panera Express.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. Yep.
know,
You gotta
some
have both.
restaurants have a get the fuck out of here door.
Yes. No seats. There's no seating. There's no
Yeah,
seating for a reason.
you
That
need that.
actually, okay, well, I won't forget to ask you about that because that was one of my favorite parts of the special. I am curious, when you research your life, there's not a lot about your personal life. And this isn't that show. This is your episode. I'm not here to make you uncomfortable. But do
No, I'm
you
fine. I talk with you. I fuck
Okay.
with you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you did the podcast before, and I remember, I don't know if we went into this, but when you said, like, oh, there's one that got away, do you have those feelings? Or you like, because you're not married, right? I mean, I wasn't even
No, I'm
sure.
not married.
Yeah.
No, I'm not married. I co-parent a beautiful, beautiful child with a
Mm,
woman. But for me, I think that, and I think maybe this is more the next special, like because the thing with this special, this is kind of the beginning of the introspection because it starts about loneliness within the world and the idea that we're not connected. And then it gets more into me and my lack of connections and
hmm
the relationship stuff and how do you make friends at 46 years old and like
hmm
that's all into me. I think the deeper I get into my shit, A lot of it is about my relationship with my father. That's the book I sold is about lessons I learned from men after my dad died.
Mm,
But what I realized in writing the book, I can't really talk about just learning some value from a random dude without getting into the values I had pre-installed before my dad died, which means I got to
mm,
delve into that.
mm.
That's not all funny. Now we're drifting into Berbiglia, fucking one man show land.
Yeah, sure.
Some of that Gary Goldman, Great Depression
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
type shit, where you're really getting inside,
Yeah.
your own issues. So I think when it comes to relationships and like, you know what? Damn, that one was
Mm,
fuck that one up. And you can have relationships and dating stuff to work out, but but that one,
mm,
damn,
mm,
damn.
mm.
How do you carry that? How do you release yourself from that? How do you
Yeah.
release yourself from regret? Living in regret is extremely dangerous because you're not facing forward. You're
Mm,
looking in the wind, you're looking in the rear view, and you can't live like that.
mm.
That takes time. The idea of forgiving yourself, you have to just take your mistakes as lessons, but to accept that as truth, that's still a process that if I go any further down the road of shoulda, coulda, well, now as an audience member, I've got to explain to you what happened and give my side of the story. Because the assumption is that the dude ain't shit. But you have to know the year and the mile marker and the different factors that went into the mistake.
Mhm.
Like, and that's too much. That ain't me. That's not
That's maybe the
my
book.
comedic wheelhouse yet. Yeah, that's maybe book. And I think the book is going to help me inform what the next thing is. I think if I do it right, it's on some one man show / stand up.
Yeah.
I think that Gerard Carmichael is probably the best at that hybrid right now
Yeah.
when he chooses to. Ali Sadiq as well is pretty
Hmm.
superior in the idea of introspective story about me, but
Hmm.
connected to the world. And I
Hmm.
think that part, to me, that's the difference between Gerard and Ali. Gerard is let me tell you about me, jokes, good night. Well, Ali's let me tell you about me. And now here's why now, this, and this.
Mm.
So if I can figure that out, then yeah, I'll get into it a little bit more because to me, all of this shit is just so my son can figure out how to carry himself.
Yeah, a
I know
roadmap.
that's
Yeah.
I know that's terrible to say, but I think that few children I don't know if every child has an opportunity to truly know their parents,
No.
and I have an opportunity because and this is a bit I've never been able to work out, but just the idea, the thought that you'll ask your parents about, tell me the stressful thing or the traumatic thing. Why did y'all divorce? Your parents, man, they will never tell you the truth.
Mm.
But then they'll give you a recipe to some fucking cornbread or some casserole so you can pass that down. Give me the fucking trauma.
How about the
That's what I
recipe to
want.
healing? Yeah, the recipe to
Yeah.
moving on. The recipe
What
to
mistakes
yeah,
did you make
that I can
so I
avoid.
can that
Yeah.
I can avoid? So
Yeah.
if I have an opportunity through a performative tone to list that and
Yeah.
then get into a little bit more detail about it, then I'm better off for it. That's part of why I talk about the arrest. Like I don't talk about that on stage, and that's easily the most monumental thing that's ever happened to me.
Mm.
It literally changed the trajectory of my life. You want me to hold for the siren, producer?
I kind of like it. You're talking about the arrest and we got a siren.
Yeah. Oh shit, they're coming.
I thought you cued that. This episode is brought to us by our friends at Chubbies. Lately, I have been rocking the Chubbies classic line swim trunks in my pool, in my cold plunge, and in the hot tub. You guys know I love the water, and I love my classic line swim trunks from Chubbies. They are the best fitting, best looking swim trunks I have ever owned, and they have a built-in boxer brief liner. Who knew that that would be such a game changer? Why did it take us so long to figure out boxer briefs are better than briefs and boxer brief liners are better than brief liners? And it feels so good. I'm obsessed with Chubbies. If you had a disappointing holiday season this year filled with gag gifts and novelty mugs, it's not too late to turn it around and get yourself the things you truly deserve with our friends at Chubbies, who have everything you need to turn your wardrobe and maybe even your life, I'm going to say it, around. From their everywhere pants, like everywhere, wear everywhere, W-E-A-R, to their ultimate training shorts, which make working out look so much better, and maybe even feel a little bit better, even on a non-leg day. To their classic Chubbies polo. I love a good polo, and the Chubbies polo is a perfect cut for when you're casual or you're being slightly formal. I love a polo. It's like a life hack. You look good, but you still feel good, not too tight or bunched up. So don't miss out. Chubbies is here to help you take on 2025 in style, starting with the comfiest, most versatile gear you've ever worn. And for a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners 20% off with the promo code WEIRDO. For checkout at chubbiesshorts.com. Chubbies, CHUBBIES.com. That's 20% off your order with promo code WEIRDO. Support our show. Tell them we sent you. Support your body. Support your look. No matter where the new year takes you, Chubbies has the gear to keep you comfortable and looking your best. Thank you to our friends at Chubbies. We're also brought to us by our friends at LMNT. You guys know I am obsessed with LMNT. Today is actually a fast day for me, and one of the reasons I have so much energy and feel so clear and so bright and so fine, even though I haven't had any food, is because I have taken my LMNT, and I have flooded my body with healthy hydration, which isn't just water. We know this. We have the science. It's water plus electrolytes, and LMNT, LMNT, is the perfect blend of sodium, magnesium, and potassium to flood every cell in your body with optimum hydration. Plus, it tastes fantastic, so I end up drinking more water. I love the watermelon salt. I also love the chocolate salt. I drink that one hot, especially on cold nights now that it's in the winter time. I love it. It's absolutely the optimum ratio of what you need to feel fantastic, and it gives you that boost, gives you that energy, gives you that kickstart. And I swear it helps my brain, helps me think, helps me function, keeps me cracking whip smart. And I love it. Whip smart. And then I started reading and I lost my train of thought. Who cares? Go to drinklmnt.com/weird and use promo code weird, and you get a free LMNT sample pack, and you can try all of the flavors, which is awesome. It's like a $14 value. You can also try their LMNT Sparkling, which is a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water, which I love. And if they don't exceed your expectations, they have a no questions asked refund policy, so you literally have nothing to lose. You don't even have to send it back. So support your body, support your hydration, support this show. Go to drinklmnt.com/weird and get your free sample pack with any purchase. That's drinklmnt.com/weird.
No, but it's like, okay, when I'm 19, I was a mail sorter at the post office. I stole a credit card because back in the 90s, kids, there was no sticker on a credit card saying call this number to activate it. Credit cards came hot in the envelope, ready to use.
It was just cash, basically.
Oh, bitch, basically. So I'm taking credit cards out the post office, get caught, get probation during the time. I get suspended from school as well for like a year. During that year, I'm just living in Tallahassee. I'm working 20 hours a week at Golden Corral. All right, let me try this comedy shit. And that's a whole road, man. And it wasn't even until I really started writing the book and really getting into talking about the arrest and psychologically what that meant and what I felt, that I was like, oh, wow, this probably could be meaningful to other people and also my son. But
For sure.
let me mine all of it in book form first
Yeah.
and then go from there. But yeah,
Well, I think that's great. I don't even trust myself as a dad that I might lie to my daughter. That's why I like that I've been doing this podcast for over a decade. It's like, there it is. You want to hear what I sounded like when I was 35? There I am. You know what I'm saying? I think that's going to be insurance that I have to be a certain amount of real with my daughter.
It's a valuable way to be to leave breadcrumbs for your children who are trying to still figure out who they are after
Yeah,
you're gone. Should
that's
I
right.
not be alive long enough for my son to be at the age to ask the questions he needs answers to?
Yeah,
Go listen
yeah.
to that Pete Holmes
There you
podcast from
go.
20 years ago.
Well, dude, we have one from 10 years ago too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
I think about that too. We'll load them all into an AI when you and I are in nursing homes and we'll just talk to younger versions of ourselves. We'll love it. We'll fucking love it. How did
Yeah.
you, forgive me if you've talked about this or if you don't, again, if you don't want to talk about it, how did you
No,
get
bro, I'm
caught?
open
You're
book, man.
stealing credit cards. What was the moment where you're like, you feel the hand on your shoulder and somebody's like, come with us?
We were we were at we were at, I'll say Macy's. It wasn't really Macy's, but I'll say, oh, wait, it's been 98. It's been long enough. We were at Dillard's
All right.
in Tallahassee Mall. And so there's a girl we knew who worked at Dillard's. Now, what we had been doing, when I say we, it's me as the ringleader. I'm not putting anybody else under the bus. You get a card, you buy clothes, you sell the clothes,
Yeah.
and you spend the money. And after going to therapy and writing the book and really looking at it, really what a lot of the activity and the criminalistic nature of it boiled down to was just I didn't want to be a burden to my mother.
Mm,
I did not like calling my mother for money because I knew how hard she'd worked. And I'd heard her for years when I was in elementary school borrowing money from friends. And when my father passed, the IRS came to take the house. And so this is my senior year of high school. My dad died October of my senior year of high school. I was working 30 hours a week in high school,
mm,
which is extremely illegal in the Alabama state child labor or whatever, but needed the bread. We trying to keep, you know what I'm saying? Trying to avoid
mm,
eviction. So I get to college, and the first thing I want to do is not bother my mom because
mm,
I know what the last year was. So a lot of it was driven by that, which so much so that I don't allow myself to be stressed about anything in front of my child because
mm.
I do not know what that is going. I don't know what seed I'm planting.
Yeah.
And granted, my mama didn't know I was listening. She just didn't know I could hear her
Right.
from around the corner down the hall, whatever. So that has changed how I parent. When you really sit and start evolving and really looking at, okay, well, I'm not going to be stressed about my son needs to never feel like he's a burden. If I do that, he'll know he can at least come to me for
Mm,
anything and maybe not. But if he does crime, it'll be for some other reason than not wanting to ask me,
mm-hmm.
So that's more backstory and forward story. So we know a girl that works at Dillard's, and because she works at Dillard's, she's on register. She can charge us less for the what's the shit? The clothing we're buying, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she can underrange stuff. So like if a shirt costs $80, she could charge that bitch for 12, which
Wow.
leaves more credit space on the card to do more chaos. So we're I'm
I
19 years old
I
when
might be
this is
jumping
going on.
ahead. What's the resale? If you even have a shirt that's worth $80, when you sell it, isn't it like pennies on the dollar? Like how much?
50% off, but what's my overhead? I stole a credit card.
Right. But
I
what are you
paid
getting?
nothing for this.
You think you're going to get $40 for that $80 shirt?
Yeah, if it was like Tommy Hilfiger or some shit like that, yeah. If
Yeah.
it's
All right.
this is real and it's 50% off. This is cheaper than bootleg,
Right.
and
Right.
it's
Right.
real.
Where are you selling it? To
You
people or to
can't not
stores?
fuck with this price. Like that's not no, just to other people on campus. So I go
Oh,
over to
okay.
Florida State. I was at Florida A&M. All this is in Tallahassee. So once you've sold something for cheap to one person, word gets around. You ain't got to put up a Facebook sponsored post to fucking get the word out.
Yeah.
It's college. Everybody's poor. And then one person goes, I know a guy who can get you blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
I'm the guy. So that's how I spent the first 2 years of college was just selling shit. And sometimes it would be food, but food is a tougher sell. Like if you get like a pizza on a stolen credit card, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass because if nobody eats this, you got fucking 9 pizzas in your dorm room.
Right.
That's
Also, what's wrong with the pizza? Did someone sneeze on the pizza? You can wash a shirt.
the you've got a 2 hour window during Monday Night Football to sell all of this pizza.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the kids got smart, the other students got smart, and they would just wait me out 2 hours because they would just rather eat a cheap pizza 2 hours from now that's 70% off versus a pizza that's 50% off that's hot and
Oh,
fresh.
oh my God. Wow.
And it would just go in microwave it. So I mean, that's kind of what inspired the transition to clothing. I'm like, we can't, boys, we're burning we're burning our inventory over here.
You're learning all these business lessons, demand, supply, scarcity, all that stuff.
What
This is the same thing.
but what you also do, and I think this is very understated about crime, is that no matter what type of crime you were committing on a regular basis, eventually you meet all of the other criminalistic people
Mm.
in that ecosystem.
Hmm.
Like that part of it, I think is
Your competition, you mean?
not really competition. Just I sell. I'm gonna sell some stolen jeans. Well, sooner or later, I'm gonna meet a drug dealer that wants stolen jeans.
I see.
Now I know a drug dealer. Now I know someone that does check fraud. Now don't need one, but now I have a fake ID guy.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If I need a passport to leave the country, I'm 19. I have a guy.
Yeah.
I don't need one,
You
but
got all sorts
now,
of guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, for real, like, but now, oh, my drug dealer. I went to drop off some jeans, and the drug dealer guy fucking thinks he needs to leave the country. Hey, man, I got a guy for you. So you can
You get a
kind of
little finder's
coordinate.
fee.
I mean, people that are like stealing DVDs and renting DVDs on campus. That's their thing. So
Yeah,
go buy me 40 copies of Independence Day.
yeah. Right.
Stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah.
movie was out at that time. So
Right.
you meet the weird, I can't explain it, man. You meet all the weird, interesting people. You
Yeah,
meet
yeah, yeah.
strippers, you meet escorts who are fucking professors and politicians. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
students who
Yeah.
are
It's like you've crossed the
consenting.
membrane. Yeah. Say what?
Yeah, yeah. And then the next day, you're in fucking mass media law class working on your broadcast journalism
Yeah,
degree.
yeah, yeah. Kind of, it's like Fight Club. Once you start Fight Club, it's kind of turns the volume down on the rest of your life. You probably had, or am I wrong? It sounds more exciting than school.
Yeah, but in hindsight, I probably could have been a little bit better about balancing the two. But
Mm,
you become, I think what crime also provided in the pre-comedy days for me was a sense of community and friendship, which
mm,
I was cool in high school. I wasn't one of the cool kids, but I didn't get bullied. I had enough friends and it was fine.
mm.
But in college, I was the man. You had to know me. You had to fuck with me. You had to, like, and there's no one else really doing what I was doing at that level at the time. So the idea of knowing me meant I'm the guy you know. No, you got
Yeah,
a guy.
yeah.
And so like that's going on. And so we meet a woman and she's working at Dillard's and Bird Irons. I can't even fucking remember the department store. And she just basically says, I'm gonna just charge you less for this shit.
Mm.
And we were like, all right, sounds good to me. We'll just fucking use the card again.
But was
We'll
she getting a cut or anything? She wasn't even involved in the scheme, really?
I think we were just buying some clothes for her. Like, just pick some shit out for yourself. Like, tell
Okay.
us before we get there what it is or whatever. And so
Yeah.
we get to the store. And when we get to the store, one of my buddies knew her. And so, he goes and, gives her a hug or whatever. And we start shopping and we bring our stuff to the register. And In this instance, I don't think we went all over the store because she just worked in one department of the store. I think we just bought stuff from her department with the intention of bringing it back for store credit and then using the store credit to do the proper shopping list that people are giving.
Mm.
And so she undercharges us for the stuff. Unbeknownst to us, I guess at this particular store, they had the camera shit set up where loss prevention and security, where loss prevention can see the register from above. They have a POV straight down on the register, almost like a drone cam, right?
Yeah.
But they can also see the item that is being rung up and the cost of the item. So they were watching in real time, seeing her undercharge us
Oh no.
for stuff. So we get the stuff, we dip, and this is everything I'm saying now. It's just paperwork. I didn't witness any of this. They pull her to the side and go, "Yeah, motherfucker, what you charging for $6 in goddamn fucking Ralph Lauren department? Motherfucker, ain't nothing in $6." And yeah, and I give her credit, like, and she tried to stand tall. Like, I don't know I was flirting. I can't remember what she said exactly, but it was something along the lines of, I did it because I thought I would be cool with those guys. Or like, she tried.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
tried to not snitch. I was flirting. That was my way of flirting. And then they ran back the tape and they saw my dog give her a fucking hug.
Mm.
And that was it.
Wow.
So we know them. Tell us where they are. We're gonna hit you with all these charges. And like a smart young woman in trouble with the law as a teenager, she fucking snitched so she can get her life back. And to your question of when did you know it was over? It's a long way to get to the answer. We were at the house, you know, just celebrating as always. And I had a fucking watch. I bought a watch that night. I bought a Seiko Kinetic watch. And that was like the one thing that I like, it's like, yeah, I want a watch. And I finally had a watch. We ordered some pizzas. And about 30 minutes later, there's a knock at the door. And I open the door and it's the fucking Tallahassee Police Department. And I'm like, fuck me.
When you want it to be pizza, that's the only way it could be worse to get arrested. You thought it was pizza.
Bro, I open the door and they just go, "Are you Roy? Are you Roy?" I just went, "Maybe." Like, I wasn't even a comic yet, but I had the time, and bro, I
Maybe.
go, I go, "Maybe." Get on the ground right now. And they fucking bum rush in, and everybody's cuffed, and we're sitting in the living room, like, and they're asking questions. Where's the shit? Where are the credit cards, motherfucker? And while we're sitting there, like, fucking being interrogated, the actual fucking pizza shows up.
Oh my God.
I
Oh
look at
my
the pizza
God.
man. I go, "You're late." And I'm praying. I'm praying to God that the fucking pizza that the pizza man doesn't show him the receipt because we had bought the pizza on a stolen credit card too.
The pizza was more evidence.
Yeah, you're being detained for stealing, and then some stolen food just shows up to the crib. I'm like, uh-oh. Sir, could you please get the fuck out of here if you don't mind?
Exhibit A came in 30 minutes or
Step
less.
aside and please get the fuck out if you don't mind, big dog. I sure would appreciate that. Um,
But then that
but
led to
yeah,
stand up. That changed your life.
well, yeah, because that night you go to jail, you get out, you're
Did
recognizant, if I'm not mistaken. And then I take a plea that Jay, this is Thanksgiving, this is the night before Thanksgiving.
oh
And I
no.
take a plea and I spent like 2, 3 days in jail because it's a holiday. But then I plead guilty and
So wait, you were in
then
jail on Thanksgiving?
yeah, yeah. Thanksgiving is like the most meaningful holiday to me, which because I was alone and it was like where the shift of Yeah, I'm not gonna do this again.
Oh, wow.
There's a there's a story I told. You just search my name in Golden Corral. There was a story on YouTube I told about that night in jail, about that first night in jail, and how this guy wanted to beat my ass because he thought that I, somebody, all he knew was that someone was arrested today for beating his mother in a domestic dispute. So anyone that came to jail that day, he assumed was the person who beat his mama. And so his mission was to beat the shit out of anyone new that came on that pod that day, just to
Oh,
make sure that he fucked up the person who beat up his mother. And it's a long story, but I end up being saved by a customer that I was really nice to at Golden Corral, who was also in jail at the exact same time and saw me and was like, nah, he's cool. Like, just
what?
don't beat him. Yeah, it's wild shit.
Someone you were
So,
nice to happened to be in jail and saved you from getting beat up.
a regular customer from Golden Corral who I'd served on a weekly basis for about a year saw
Oh
me
my
and was like,
God.
yeah, we're not going to beat up him. He's a good kid. Like
Holy.
that. So, which is also part of why I'm always nice to people.
Well, that's in
Like
your
people,
act.
oh, Roy is so nice. Wow, is Roy so nice? I was like, well, because that shit comes around in a good way sometimes.
Yeah. I mean that's what I wrote down from your act when you talk about I actually found it to be deeply moving. You're talking about we don't need self-checkout, we need cashiers. And I'm not trying to ruin the bit. I'm saying people got to hear
Yeah,
this
yeah,
bit where you're talking about lonely, maybe mentally ill people, if we're being real, that's what we're saying, that might have some bad ideas, go to the supermarket and they have that little interaction. And you're absolutely
and they feel
right.
seen. They
Dude,
feel connected.
I'll take it one click back. A smile on the sidewalk. I know that sounds like some Mr. Rogers shit, but it's real. Like sometimes you just look at somebody and you witness them. You hold them in
Yeah,
your mind and your heart for a second. That can stop something bad from happening. It doesn't have to be a shooting.
yeah.
It can stop a lot of bad things from happening, and the ripples of that are crazy. So that bit, I wrote it down right here. I wrote down cashier because I was like, that joke is real, and we're similar age, so I know what you're talking about. It's like, you know how lonely people go shopping. There's a line in Glenn Ross where do you know that movie, the play?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Glenn. A lot of comics love Glenn Ross. Anyway, there's a part where a salesman is like, they bought all this land and they were like, they're crazy. They just like talking to salesmen, and I'm like, yeah, that's like part of the service. Like if you work in a store, part of your service is just a person you're allowed to talk to. Like how in Japan they have bars where you can just have a friend. Like people, like actors essentially
Yeah,
will,
it's set
will
up
be
like
your
that where
friend.
you're just be my friend. And they're like, oh,
Because
okay, cool.
it turns out it doesn't matter if it's real or fake or whatever. Sometimes you just need someone to look you in the eye and smile. And like you say in the bed, I like this flavor too. That shit can golden corral a lot of people. I think you should be proud of what you're putting out with that message in the special.
And so what happened on the other side of that? So what happened
Is
on the
that the
other
pizza?
side of that? So what happened on the other side of that is that I am alone for the first time that Thanksgiving of '98.
Yeah.
Alone. You get out of jail a couple days later, and now you have no friends. And now you have the reality that, oh shit, every ounce of social currency that I had in this city was rooted around my ability to provide something to someone.
It
No
was
one fuck with me.
transactional. It was transactional. Yeah.
Yeah, no one fuck with me because of me. It was because I could do the thing.
Mm.
Oh, well, that's fucked up.
Dude, can
And
I
so that,
interject here? I was thinking about like crisis situations, obviously with what's going on in California, and if there's gridlock traffic, And people are like, "Oh, you need a motorcycle because you can zip between cars, right?" That's how like
Yeah.
one person and one guest can get the fuck out of a city in a bad situation. And I'm like, "Yeah, until you get a flat tire, because there's nothing worse than the dude that was zipping through traffic. Then you get a flat tire, and then you remember real quick, we need each other. So we
Yeah.
can't go zipping around selling shit, skirting the law, whatever it is. We need each other. We need it because you're going to need help with that flat tire. Motorcycle only works if your tires, and you were only respected if you do the thing, and now you can't do the thing anymore.
And so now you are trying to figure out what you want to do. And so I got a financial aid check for like 7 G's that January. And then I take a plea and then I get suspended from school. So now I don't even have class. So I don't even
Mm.
have the idea of group work assignments and just the idea of just, well, let me try and get an education. No, go home, go sit at home. And so now I'm working 20 hours a week at fucking Golden Corral and Shoney's and temp service jobs. And I started doing stand up as a way to deal with the depression of what I think at the time is I'm going to go to prison. But now I have $7,000 and I have no classes to spend it on. So fuck it. I'm gonna use this money to just take the bus places and go tour. And I'm just gonna do open mics all over the South. And
Mm.
I'm going to just do comedy until I go to prison. I end up getting probation instead of prison and been doing comedy ever since. Like
Mm.
that was the thing. But that year of 99, it's kind of that Bruce Wayne went to China to be a criminal to understand criminals type thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've never been more alone than 1999. I had one or two friends that I was cool with still, in spite of everything. But comedy as a whole is an isolating job. I was 20. I'm opening for 50-year-old alcoholics and wife beaters and like it's not
Yeah.
good gigs.
No.
Some are cool, but for the most part, I'm working with people I have nothing in common with. There's no open mic scene in the South at that time.
Yeah.
I don't just live in Atlanta. I can't just show up to the same place every week and build friendships. I live in fucking Tallahassee where there's a weekend room and there's like a comedy scene, but it's once every 6 weeks we do a show.
Right.
I'm going to prison. I don't have time to wait another 5 weeks to perform. So I'm going to fucking take the bus to Charlotte and sleep in the bus station. And then I'm going to perform that night. And so I think the dangerous thing, which brings it back to now, the dangerous thing about that year for me is that I learned how to be alone. And once you've learned and you've mastered the skill of isolating yourself from people, the idea of doing any work to connect with people again just doesn't seem like why would I do that? I know how to do this.
Mm.
I have friends now, shit like that, and it's fine, but I'm extremely selective about who I kick it with and who I let in because you start realizing you start realizing that relationships that you thought were sincere were transactional.
Well, because
And
you
that
learned
shit
that lesson.
stings.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
shit stings. And so I learned that I'm blessed to have learned that lesson at an early age. But without any of that, I don't achieve what I've achieved. I don't get into comedy. Because I needed that as a catalyst. I'd always been curious about stand up, but it wasn't until, oh shit, my life could be taken from me.
Mm.
What do I really want to do? So I do the stand up for a year. I get back in school, make the dean's list. Me and my mom kind of amend because we weren't really getting along during that time either. Because I'm sleeping in bus stations, and she's going, "You should go to class," and "You should mind your business." But
Mm.
I get it. You don't want your kid like, hey, yeah, I know I'm on probation for one crime. I'm going to start a career where there's nothing but drug abuse and suicide and loneliness. And generally, you just take all of your depressive thoughts and perform them for strangers. I'll be fine. Trust me, Joyce.
Got to you in a tuxedo at the correspondence center.
Giving my mom a shout out who was there in the building.
Yeah, there you go. But how
So,
crazy. We were basically, look, not to fluff our feathers too much, but like when we got into comedy, it was like people on cocaine in leather jackets. It just felt funk leather jackets. It just felt
bro,
so dastardly. It did.
I opened for a guy. I know he's not doing it anymore because I tried to Google him. You can't even find a clip of his act. That's how long
Mm,
ago this was.
mm.
He was a guitar act and he was performing. It was one of those gigs where you perform in the hotel bar, and then you stay at the hotel where you're performing.
Yeah.
And he's a guitar act, and he walks out the room. He walks out the bar with like three girls on his arms. Man, yeah, man, good night. You're pretty funny, kid. Keep it up. And he fucking walks off.
Oh
And I
God.
stay and I'm drinking. And then I look at the stage, and this is the last night of the week. He's left his guitar on stage. So I go to the club manager. Hey man, you know, he left his Bob left his shit up on the stage. I'll take it to him. What room is he in? He gives me the room number. I go get the guitar and I take it upstairs and I knock on the door. He's butt naked. It's been 10 minutes since I saw him last.
Yeah.
It's not a long time. We're not talking hours later. It's been 10 minutes. Bob's butt naked. Two of the three women are butt naked. The third one is laying out another rail of coke for them to fucking snort. And it's some 70s shit in 1999 Tallahassee. And he takes the guitar, doesn't even try to cover his meat, nothing. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, kid. You're really funny, man. Come on, come on in and party, man. And it just felt like one of those moments where
Boogie Nights.
this, yeah,
It's
this
Boogie
choice,
Nights. It's
it's
this
follow the
choice.
white rabbit, but the reverse.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
Run from the white rabbit. Roy,
it's Matrix.
run.
So
Wow.
I didn't because I was on probation, man, and I was dead serious about not getting dirty piss and losing my travel. You know, I was on probation for like 2, 3 years, man, and that kept me straight and narrow, which kept me from a lot of those. I believe with most comics, a lot of the addiction habits or introduction to things that you eventually abuse happens within the first 5 years.
Mm.
Whatever habits you start
Yeah.
having then,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
your social habits,
Yeah.
it especially if you start in your teens or you start early 20s where you're
Yeah.
already wilding out to begin with. And then you
Yep.
add the existential pressure of, oh my God, am I gonna make it? Did I choose right? Oh no, I've wasted a decade.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Line.
Yeah. Yep. That's
So
why,
I got lucky, man. I didn't do none of that shit, man.
well, when I was talking about how sort of rock and roll or whatever you want to call it was when we were starting, and I mentioned Ellen already, but Ellen, Ray Romano, Seinfeld, the clean guys, the people that were just doing comedy, and it's not just those people, but the people that were going out not to be in an orgy after the show. They just like comedy. I guess you could say comedy
Yeah.
drunks. And I was like grateful for those. Unfortunately, one of them is Cosby. Yikes! But there were examples of people where it was where I was like, let's be the guy that eats a bowl of Wheaties after the show. Thank you, Jerry.
You know one of the best weekends I ever got, and I did not realize it at the time, was opening for Eddie Gosling at the Comedy Cafe in Appleton, Wisconsin. And
Yeah,
in those days, you share a condo,
I was.
all three comedians.
I've been in that condo. You mean the Skyline? Comedy Cafe is
Skyline.
Milwaukee. Sorry to
Okay, yeah,
split hairs.
JD.
Yeah,
Yeah, shout out to
yeah,
JD's. But yeah, so Skyline, it's three comics in an apartment, basically, for 4 days.
yeah,
And you learn a motherfucker just sitting there for all day. And it's cold. You're not going nowhere.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
sit right here till fucking Pat and Cliff come pick your ass up for this show tonight.
Yep.
So I watched Eddie Gosling every fucking day in this condo. And this is pre Uber Eats. So if you wanted bullshit food and you didn't have a car, you had to hike for that shit. This nigga Eddie Gosling fucking went grocery shopping the first day in town, and I'm like sitting there like, look at this dumb motherfucker. I'm cooking. This motherfucker cooking all day. This motherfucker eating right. And now, like 20 years since that weekend, I'm like, yeah, you got to buy a rotisserie chicken when you get to town, and that's how you keep your health and stay out of mischief. And you got to have a root. The importance of a
Yeah.
routine
Yep.
is what I like.
No, that's true.
Fuck performance. I got to sit and watch a comic
Yes.
on, oh, this is the day-to-day life
Yes.
tutorial.
Right. Dude, don't get me started. People think it's easy, like having a free day. There's an art to it, and you got to be really disciplined. And traveling and taking care of your day is so much more of the job than doing the show. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, yeah. But there's no one to teach you that. There's no book for that. There's no stand-up road day trip,
no.
how to handle your off days. Hey, don't
Yes.
fuck that girl. She's a little weird.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I remember having off days between colleges, and I'm just glad I put a lot of it on religion, and it put like a fear in me. It's not like the top grade, like love of God or something that kept me clean. I was just like, don't be a after school special. Just get to the hotel, eat some Chinese food, go to bed, you know?
Bro, when they told me about Vince Champ on that college tip, I was like, oh baby, y'all never gonna catch me doing
Wait,
anything
what is
crazy at
Vince
these
Champ?
colleges. Oh,
Is this
I, the story of Vince Champ has defined my behavior at comedy clubs for the last fucking 28 years. I'm going to read the I'm going to read the Wikipedia on this one, big dog. Vince Champ
I saw you
is an
typing.
American.
I saw you typing. I knew we were getting something good.
I can't even summarize this. I have to read it.
I have to read it. If it pleases the court, we will now read from the Wikipedia of Vince Champ.
Vince Champ is an American former comedian and convicted rapist.
Yikes.
Champ was a touring comedian who had gained minor renown for winning first place on Star Search.
Yikes.
In 97, 5 years later, he was identified as a serial rapist when his DNA and tour schedule matched up with a series of rapes on college campuses. He is currently serving 30 to 40 years in Nebraska with a projected release date of 2033, after which he will then serve 2 consecutive life terms in Iowa.
Yikes.
So Vince Champ, as it was told to me, this is before I started comedy. He got arrested in 97. I started comedy in 98. I started doing college as about 2 years later. Vince Champ was going to these shows and then spitting game. And this is a grown man, at least 30. He's doing these shows, and then the stories it was told to me, allegedly, in case I'm interested, spitting game to these young students after the show, and then would either circle back and go out to a bar with them, go do something with them, whatever, right? And then crimes would happen. So by the time I got into the college circuit, which was around 2002, 2003-ish, was when I first started kind of dabbling in college gigs.
Yeah.
There was no more interacting with students after performance. The advisors, I don't have to get into how Champ was caught. Just know that every student activities advisor was now in communication with one another across all colleges, every level of Division I, Division II.
Yeah.
And protocols were in place. An advisor will be here with you with these students when you take these pictures after the show. And when you're done with your performance, you will leave campus and we will fucking watch you drive off.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
That type of shit.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thankfully, that behavior was already burned into me because I saw fucking Bob butt naked in Tallahassee.
Yes. I mean, I feel like I saw Bob. That story's so vivid. I mean, it's real. And
not Bob Saget. Let me just say it wasn't Bob.
No, that's right. I'll add to that, Christian Finnegan. Remember when Christian Finnegan was on Chappelle's show the Mad Real World. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Chad. He was Chad.
Yeah, he was Chad, and he really blew him up. And we were doing colleges around then, and he told me a story that he went out to a bar, and what it was we went to a college, and I was like, I was probably like 24. I wasn't that much older than college kids, but I still felt like a 34-year-old. I was one of those older young people. But anyway, went
Yeah.
to a college. And I was like, so what do we do? Like, I never partied even when I was in college. I was like, does everyone go out and party? And Christian was like, no. And I was like, why? And he was like, he told me a story. I hope I'm getting the facts right, Christian, if you hear this. It's not a fancy story. He just went out, somebody recognized him. And it was basically like, um, you think you're better than me, or like, do you want to dance with my girlfriend? Like bullshit like that. Like old 70s New York traps, like hustles. Like, you think my girlfriend's hot? Like that. And like, there's no way
Yeah.
to win that. You say yes, you're fucked. You say no, like you ignore. And he's just trying to get out of this engagement. And it wasn't a fight, but it was like, oh, I'm not going out anymore. Like, even for a drink with the booker, I'm not doing it. It's a bad scene. Get the fuck out of there. I'm with it.
Go home. Go home. And if you met somebody that went to the show or some audience member, you better move slow and evaluate that shit too, because that shit can go left real fast.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah.
you start bar hopping. I think Doug Stanhope has I don't know if it's a bit or just an observation where he says that I'm famous for 30 minutes after the show within 100 feet of the place where the show occurred. And that's where I will drink. Because once you leave the club and go out
Yeah.
into the town with the
Yeah.
local,
Yeah.
anything can happen, man. And I don't want, because you could have something, and I know stories of comedians who have, hung with students a little too late, too many students in the green room.
Mm.
And then one other student just can go back to an advisor. Yeah, he was back there with Shelley, and then they don't know what was going on. And just on the strength that we believe you fucked the students, even if it's consensual, we're not going to have you back. And then when those academic advisors have a meeting amongst themselves
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
hey, and they have these meetings. They have meetings every
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
NACA convention. Hey, y'all,
You
who
know
were the
what, dude?
crazy motherfuckers?
You're
So we
reminding me
know not
why
to book the crazy motherfuckers.
to this day, we go to clubs, me and my opener, Matt, my dear friend, Matt McCarthy. We go to clubs and we try to be the most boring people in the world. They come to the green room. You need anything? We're like, we have no needs. We have no needs.
They love
You,
it. They
do you
love
do
it.
you do a meet and greet? We don't do a meet and greet. Was there? Do you mind if we start the show? You start the show whenever you want, and we leave. We say thank you, and it's almost like this is some real 45-year-old shit. When I leave a hotel, I leave it clean. Like my room is clean.
Yeah, I got to
There's
draw
a
a line there. Wait a minute.
trash is in the trash. It's become my new
You
game with
make the
myself.
bed.
The bed is semi-made. The bed is semi-made, and the towels are in a pile. That's what they like in the bathroom. And there's a tip. I get that out there. You got to be
Do
tipping
you
the
let,
housekeeper.
I tip, but do you let housekeeping in every
No,
day?
no,
Okay,
do
good
not
man.
disturb the whole time.
Yeah, all right, if we're getting into day three,
Yeah, maybe.
all right, give me some sheets. I've been fucking. That's fine. But don't, don't come in here every day to dust something because
No,
no,
no, beat it.
I came up with a lot of OG comedians who just had proper paranoia about housekeeping. Like, my career is weird, man, because I crossed over very early in my career. So I could be opening for Ron White or Alex Raimundo, and then the next week be doing a black room and be paired with a headliner who literally told me one day, all right, when you fuck people after the show, put your wallet in a Ziploc and hide it in the toilet then. And then that way these hoes won't steal your money, which
Oh
is just as valuable a piece of
my.
information as watching Eddie Gosling eat grocery store rotisserie chickens for his health, peeling the skin off. Both quality tips. Hide your wallet in a Ziploc bag and hide it in the toilet
Toilet
water.
tank.
Yeah.
Upper
So
deck,
that
your wallet.
because these girls will fuck you and then steal your shit. And
God.
those are the conspiracy theories that sit with me for a long time. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be having sex after the show. I wonder if Bob got his money back when he was butt naked in that room in Tallahassee.
This episode is brought to us by our friends at Ritual. If one of your resolutions in this new year is to get healthy, to feel better, and to fill gaps in your nutrient diet, nutrient gaps, you need to get Ritual in your life and make it, pun intended, a ritual. I've been taking Ritual for years. I take their daily men's one a day. I also take their Synbiotic Plus, which is a pro, pre, and postbiotic. So it takes care of my gut health in one minty, delightful pill that I take in the morning and 2 multivitamins. And I am a mostly vegan, which means I have gaps in my diet. I have gaps. But when I go to the doctor and they check my blood, this is just me saying, I knock it out of the park. And I think that has a lot to do with our friends at Ritual. So if you want to get traceable, non-GMO, we're talking major allergen-free, vegan, gluten-free, gentle on your stomach, vitamins that actually get into your system. So many times people don't want to take multivitamins because you think you just pee them out. You ever notice your pee turns like bright yellow? You just feel like none of this is getting into you. Well, Ritual has fixed that. It is a delayed release capsule, breaks down in your large intestine where it can actually be absorbed, yet it's gentle on your empty stomach. So if you're fasting, as I mentioned, as I am today, you take something like zinc that can upset your stomach, not with Ritual, because it's not breaking down until it's in your intestine, so it's not going to make you nauseous, it's not going to make you feel weird, and it is fantastic. And men need this more than ever. Men over-prioritize exercise, they undervalue nutrition, and Ritual is here to help fill in those gaps with 10 key nutrients that the CDC is recommending men get in their bodies because they are doing too much exercise and not getting enough fruit and veg. So get Ritual in your life. I've been taking it for years. I absolutely love it. You can get 20% off your first month for a limited time by going to ritual.com/weird. Get started or add Essential for Men to your subscription today by going to ritual.com/weird for 20% off. Get that quality multivitamin from a company you can actually trust. We're also brought to us by our friends at ONNIT. You guys know I am an ONNIT Alpha Brain mega fan. I'm going to say mega fan. Truly obsessed. I wish I knew about this in college because it is making using my brain so much easier. Access to my memory, my recall, my focus. It is an absolute game changer. It is earth-grown ingredients. It's not a stimulant. It's not like caffeine or coffee. It's not going to keep you jittery. It's just going to give your brain the nutrition it needs to function at its optimum. Memory, concentration, focus. Before I do stand-up, before I do this podcast, before I sit down to read, sometimes before I just go out, hang out with friends, I'm taking 2-3 Alpha Brain 15 minutes before, and the difference is huge. This is a game changer. So if there's something you're doing out there that involves your brain, and chances are there is, you are going to lose your mind for ONNIT Alpha Brain. Go to ONNIT, ONNIT.com/weird. You'll get 10% off everything you see on that landing page. That's ONNIT.com/weird for 10% off. Support your brain. Support the show.
So it's just there's enough wild shit. And keep in mind, bro, I'm on probation the first 3 years of this career.
Well, you're making me
So
think
I'm
probation
really
worked.
stepping on.
Like in your case, probation worked. Like probation was the guardrail that you benefited from it.
I also had a probation officer who supported what I was pursuing and was not looking at themselves as an arbiter of, haha, gotcha, now go to prison.
Yeah.
A lot of recidivism is just set up as a booby trap to get people to jail.
Yeah.
I think C. Murder said probation for 10 years don't mean you're free. And
Wow.
there's more people on papers than in prison.
Wow.
So if you on papers, you got to be on pins and needles. Bro. I had a pilot for Comedy Central where I played a probation officer who approaches recidivism in what I consider to be the right way because I want to tell the story of
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
I play the probation officer,
But
but I'm
from
like
that other
trying to,
perspective, yeah.
yeah, bro. You can have something as simple like, and I can only speak on state of Florida, right, where you have to be you have to be gainfully employed. So as part of your terms of probation, you must retain employment. Okay, cool. You get a job, you got a job. Let's say your car breaks down. Well, now you have to take the bus to get to work. But what if you live on a bus line that doesn't match up with your shifts
Yeah.
and you can't get a ride to work? And then your supervisor goes, I'm sorry, but I must fire you now because you cannot come to work no more because you have no car. Well, now you have maybe a month to find a job before you're in violation of your probation. And all it was because a fucking fan belt broke on your car
Mm,
and you literally don't have the money to fix it yet. And
mm,
no one will hire you because you're on probation. And now you're back in jail
mm,
because you can't afford a fucking $40 car part.
mm.
That's the trap. And so those are the things that get set up for a lot of people, man. And I feel really fucking lucky. That's part of why, like, the Daily Show, in a way, was an opportunity for me to, like, try to, I hate shine a light, but try to do
No, but you
stories
are.
that speak to people who ain't got no microphone and no camera to say what the fuck is going on with
But you
them.
do
And
that in
so,
this. You do that in the special as well. This is what I mean. Like journalism, you're either telling me about yourself or you're telling me about the world. So when you talk about, is it Dion, the photographer?
yeah, yeah, White Dion, yeah, yeah,
White Dion, WD as we know him. White
yeah.
Dion, who's a veteran, and you do take just one little moment to like be real about it and talk about how hard it is to do 3 tours and come back. And people don't understand why you don't understand why you're acting weird, whatever it might be. And that's what you're doing here, and that's what you're doing in your work. Shining a light is, I understand why it might sound corny or something, but it's real and it's a great thing to do with a voice.
Yeah, yeah. And like those days on the road, I wouldn't trade them for the world. Like that was a primer in understanding people. It was sociology.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it was 1,000% the best thing that ever happened to me. We
yeah.
taught, just arrest and what moment where your life training. Da, 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 da. It was 98. It was Thanksgiving in 98, top to
Yeah.
bottom. So you just learn people. I wish I could go back to that sometimes, man. I wish I could just be at a bar after a show as a feature act where, over the course of the show ending, there's more people in the bar who weren't at the show. And now that you're just talking with regular motherfuckers, man.
Mm,
I
mm,
I miss that shit.
hmm. What if I was like, Roy, you ain't that famous?
According to Doug Stanhope, I can still see the stage from where I'm sitting. I'm famous. You know what? After shows now, I'll do pictures sometimes. I'm not always, it depends, and this is crazy to say, but a lot of it depends on energy
Hmm.
because I don't charge for pictures. So I feel like this is bonus. You're getting extra gravy
Hmm.
if I'm out here for pictures because what I've learned over the course of a weekend is that it's not pictures, it's 45 minutes of talking for me.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it's not that I don't want to take the picture, it's just that you do something that touches people, moves people, and people want to have a quick little 30, a 90-second chit chat before the picture, which I love. But if I take these pictures, I've talked for 45 minutes, 2 shows. Over the course of 2 nights, 2 shows each night, that's 3 hours
Yeah.
of non performative talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if I got to go do the thing next week and the week after, I don't want to keep drinking this fucking Mr. Miyagi potion
Yep.
and
It's hard. It's hard.
COVID. Yeah. So, some nights I'll do pictures. Some nights I'll wait. I learned this from, of all people, the Righteous Brothers.
Hmm.
Opened for them once, um, only once, because it was very evident that my race based humor was not the thing that the Righteous Brothers audience of white people over 55 was there to
It sounds
see.
like the headline: "The race-based humor of Roy Wood Jr. not a fit." Feeling a
I
little
wasn't even going hard.
unrighteous.
This is '03. This is like
Yeah.
there's some joke about the police pulling black people over and when it takes too long for dispatch to. It was just silly, but they would do this strategy where they would just essentially, and I can say this because they don't tour anymore. I think one of them's passed, RIP. They would just wait them out. Like they wouldn't go out because they would be by the loading dock door and everything. So they would just wait. They would perform and then defrag at the venue
Yeah.
for another 30, 40 minutes and just relax and everything. So that you know now, if there's anybody still in that lobby,
Yeah.
they really want it. They're either
That's
a
a
psychopath or that's a real fan.
No, that's a real one. That's what it is. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't do that on purpose. In fact, I love saying hi to fans. I don't do meet and greets, but if we usually take our time leaving, and if there's still someone there and we were in there for 40 minutes while Matt ate a fried chicken sandwich, when you go out, you give it your all. Because that's a real
Yeah, you
dedicated.
deserve it.
Well,
You
honestly,
deserve it.
I know you must have a version of this. There's just a kind of fan or person that just knows that you were on TV, and that's just not a very fulfilling interaction for either of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's people that, oh, oh, he's over there. Let's get a picture. You didn't want a picture until you saw the motherfucker who really wanted a picture
That's
getting a
right.
picture. And
That's
so
right.
it's like that
And
picture.
you're drunk. And you're
You're
drunk, and
gonna,
it's weird. Yeah.
this shit's gonna go into the cloud. I want to take a picture with the person who I know is gonna print this. They're gonna print it. And like there was a guy I
That's it.
did
I want a print fan. I want to print
there.
this fan.
Bro, I did Topps baseball cards. They do these limited edition Allen and Ginter sets where sometimes they have non-baseball players get a baseball card. And they gave me a baseball card one year.
Nice.
And there was a guy, this is probably an hour after the show. We just back there goofing off. And he's standing still in the lobby with my baseball card and a Sharpie. And I'm like, yeah,
That's him. That's
let's
him.
get a picture.
You got a great baseball
Yeah.
name. Roy Wood Jr. sounds like a baseball player, doesn't it?
Like the
And
Ken
Roy Wood
Griffey
Jr.
vibe.
at the line. Yeah, it's a little Ken Griffey Jr.,
Yeah.
but definitely Roy Wood sounds like a baseball name.
Yeah,
We could have done it.
I'm so happy I get to do shit with MLB Network now because it's like it's two things I've done where I'm on cloud nine now. I've taken batting practice at Wrigley Field
Mm,
and I rode a fire truck in Compton,
wow.
actively out on a run with engine 16. And both of those, I'm like, damn, these were the two things I really wanted to do when I
Wow.
was young.
Why the fire truck
Just
one? I don't, you just like
I've
any kid?
loved, I think there's an adrenaline to it. Also, I just like fire. Maybe that was, I mean,
Well, I mean,
it's
yeah,
better.
no, yeah,
It's better I got into credit cards than arson, I would argue. But
let's,
yeah, like just that job, it's thankful, it's thankless. You get to help people. There's a little action to it. Of course, there's the danger of dying,
yeah,
but it very much, how can I put it? Like it very much is a job that if I'd not been doing comedy, I would have been trying to
mm.
do this. Now,
Oh,
granted, I
cool.
would have been eating like Eddie Gosling to stay in shape. It took me years after that to finally eat rotisserie chicken. But, but yeah, when the wildfires were rolling in LA, I went to a station that was covering the areas where the firefighters who were dispatched to the hills were.
Mm,
Because they're essentially like, hey, all the firefighters are in the hills. So you have to cover twice the area with half the manpower and half the rest and go.
mm.
So I rode with them just to, see what that was like and talk with them a little bit about just urban firefighting and just being out with them. It was like, wow, I call it zero tabs open. One of those experiences where you're not thinking about,
Yeah, anything else?
yeah, I didn't,
Oh, I
I
love
had my
that.
phone out just to record some stuff, but I wasn't texting. I wasn't taking a bunch of selfies. Like it was
That's
just,
what
I
it
was
was
just
like
immersed in it.
when my wife was in labor, zero tabs open. You know what I mean? What we said, I go, this is real. It's like it's not like second screen time. It's like this is what's happening. Someone's being
Yeah.
born. We got to do it. You allude to this. I want to be respectful of your time, so we'll
I
get
was
out of
there
here.
for my kid. I had to go right back. Did you take maternity leave? I'm sorry to cut you off before the last
Not
thing.
at all. Not at all. Maternity
Yeah.
leave. We just happened to. I was there. I wasn't working. I wasn't touring. So yeah, we. Although I did film a special and my daughter was about 6 weeks old, so not really.
That's fair, but that's fair though. You got to make the bread to provide. I did not take maternity leave,
Yeah.
and it's. I'm not saying I regret it, but it's just like I don't see how there was another scenario for what I do for a living
Mm,
where it
mm,
would have made. My son was born mid rise of Trump in 2016,
mm.
3 or 4 months before the election, and I work at the Daily Show, and I was still on my first year contract.
Right. That's you had a job. You had a job.
A job where if I do
Right.
it right this year, then I get to be here for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Well, that's funny.
hey,
That's
I'm happy you're born. Good to meet you, bro. I'm gonna hang around for a week. You look pretty healthy. All right, I'm gonna go secure this job so then you and your mom can come to New York.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get
I'll
it.
check in once a month.
I get it. That's what I was going to ask. You alluded to it in the special like it was something I bet people know about, but I didn't know about it. Was that you thought you were going to host the Daily Show? And forgive me if everyone asked you about this, but there was a moment
No,
where it looked like Trevor was going to step down and you were going to take over.
yeah, I think I feel like I played it up a little more comedically. I know some of the outlets have taken it to frame it as he knew for sure. No,
Mm, mm,
I just looked at the odds and I thought, hey, I got some pretty good odds. I have as good a chance as anybody else. I have done this, this, and this, and this, and this. Like I guest hosted. I had good ratings for my guest host week. I had done the correspondence dinner. I got good reviews for that.
hmm.
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
know who they're gonna pick, but
yeah,
I've made the case.
yeah.
And I've made no fumbles. Hey Ma, it's me. Yeah. I'm gonna get you a house pretty soon. Then fast forward and it didn't feel like it was me. And I'm like calling my mom back. Yeah, Ma, you didn't quit your job yet, did you?
It's funny that you
Good.
could say, we didn't get it. It's not just me. We didn't get it. But wait, is
Yeah.
Trevor
I
leaving?
just
I'm,
it
I'm in
did
the dark. Is he leaving? Is someone replacing him?
no, when Trevor left the Daily Show, so Trevor left. Trevor put in his resignation in 2022. And
Yep.
so for all of 23, there were guest hosts. Every week there was a different celebrity guest host, and they rotated
Yep.
in correspondence. And while we weigh the pros and cons, and then the writer's strike happened. So there was
Hmm.
no show. And so then on the other side of that, there was rumors that, the homie Hassan Minhaj was going to be the guy, and that was a done deal. And for whatever reason, that didn't happen.
Hmm.
So it was the rumor was they're going to reopen the search again.
Hmm.
And so it's like, oh, okay, well, I wonder if I still have a chance. And my reps reaching out to Comedy Central about it, and has nothing to do with the Daily Show proper and the crew over there, because the decision is going to come from up high from the overlords. We didn't, I don't know. I just didn't feel like, okay, well, they're going to reevaluate. And this is before Jon Stewart came back. This is before Jon Stewart's name was in the conversation to come back home and, Return of the Jedi, if you will, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So my thought process was, well, sooner or later, I'm not going to work here anymore. Even if it's not this next year, sooner or later, all these jobs are temporary. If you don't work for yourself, sooner or later the job goes to someone else or the job gets eliminated.
Hmm.
That's it. That's the game. So if there's ever a time to leave and do something else, like what am I gonna do after this? Trevor's got me thinking now, well fuck, what's next for me? Well maybe I should just go do that now.
Hmm.
Because they don't know what they want to do, and that's fine. I get it. It's your behemoth of a show, and you've got to be meticulous about the data and exactly who is the right person. All
Yeah.
right, that's fine. If there's ever a time to grow and build something new, I suspect it would be during an election year.
Hmm.
So I'm going to leave now. I'm going to leave now. And then I have all of 2024 to figure out what's next for me on the political satire side of the game. And in the meantime, to pay the bills, all right, I know I got about 45 minutes in my back pocket. And I know between now and next fall, I could have the other 15 minutes, call the agent. Hey, I heard a rumor that Hulu is going to be starting to do a stand-up comedy initiative. See what you can find out about Hulu entering the stand-up space to compete with Netflix and get back to me. Cool. Quit the show. Hulu deal comes down the pipe. Start writing the book because I sold a book over the writer strike.
Mm-hmm.
Sold a couple TV scripts, and I go, okay, this is this. We got enough pots on the stove. Where as a man, the bills are paid.
Mm-hmm.
My son's straight, his mama's straight. Everything starts with them. So if they're straight, I can start looking at the rest of the landscape of media. Fuck, everything's imploding. Everybody's merging. Nobody's making anything new. So now all of these shows that I thought I would be able to make after leaving the Daily Show, none of them are getting a bite. They're not even taking meetings on new show ideas at this time, top of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was something that I thought would only apply to um, scripted television. Well, they're doing remakes and reboots and they're casting big. If it's an original idea, they need a huge star. Otherwise, it's got to be a genre or something that feels familiar. Well, that doesn't apply to political satire. Surely the market needs a new voice. No, get the
Mm-hmm.
fuck out of here. And then CNN calls with, sure enough, a have I got news for you? It's a remake of a British show, and it's a panel show, but it felt bold. Panel shows don't really haven't done traditionally well in America, but it seemed like CNN was committed to trying something different and something that was fun and didn't have to sit in the same real estate as John Oliver or Daily Show, in terms of getting to the solution or getting to the things that make you cry or make you mad about the topic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a very simple pitch. I met with the boys from Hat Trick Productions. Hey, it's a fake quiz show that quizzes you on the last 6 days of news with a couple guests. You're a host. Oh, perfect. So I do less work? Great. Sign me up. And and if you look at the landscape of unscripted since I left Daily Show, there's only been two new shows, Us and After Midnight. And both shows are created from pre-existing IP.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of bet hedging going on out there. I couldn't have predicted any of this when I left the show. All I knew was that for whatever to happen next, I first need to exit this.
Mm.
And it wasn't anger, it wasn't beef, it wasn't, this idea of,
It was
well, I'm
proactive.
leaving because you got fucking.
You went with the
Yeah, it's
momentum, your own momentum.
yeah. It's literally, if there was ever a time to jump, it's probably now
Mm-hmm.
versus leaving 2 years from now. And I would have stayed under John Stewart. I'm sure there's a lot to learn. But I didn't fucking know he was going. They didn't know. With the information I had at the time, you know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Let me just see. And there's no fear in that because I've slept in my fucking car.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah, that's
slept at
right.
a bus station.
Yeah.
I've been fired out the blue. I've had sitcoms where I was told we were getting renewed and we weren't.
Yeah.
So I know that the other way that this could end in could be very sudden and jarring.
Yeah.
This way feels like I'm in control.
Yeah, that's right. I like it. You're going with your gut
Mm,
and you're keeping a little
yeah,
bit of sovereignty, a little bit of agency.
yeah. I got love for it, man. I quit Daily Show and then went on tour with Jordan Klepper. So,
Yeah.
like, I hate nobody in the building. I just it's what you're proposing to do. We have done for a while, and I don't know how much longer we're going to be doing that now, and
Yeah.
neither do you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave now.
Yep.
Just leaving is inevitable. So let me just leave now, and then good luck to y'all, and I'll see you at the Emmys sooner or later when I get a show that can get nominated.
Right.
You know?
There you go. That's good.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, This is we're towards the end here. This is the end, I guess we should say. Last final sort of thing. We usually talk about God. What I thought was interesting was you talk about happiness and connection in your special. So maybe we could end with a word about, if you want to tie God into that, you can, but it's totally up to you. I loved what you said about, if you have a good day, memorize what you did that day and then do it again. Like, who did you talk to? What did you do? Like, and you, so you
Yeah,
linked connection to it. Could you leave us? You've said so many great things. I've enjoyed every second of this, with something about happiness, especially during these weird times. I think we could all use it. What's your philosophy on connection and happiness? And if
I
you
don't
want to
think you
tie
can
God into it.
force it. I don't think you can force happiness. Happiness is a choice. The act of trying to be happy is a choice. Whether or not you achieve that on a regular is debatable.
Mm,
Um, for me, it's been about, all right, there's things that are stressing me, but it does not change the need for stillness. For me, stillness is happiness. I'm
mm,
not really a religious guy. I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, and, I probably went to church through college and then dabbled a little bit after college. But, in terms of practicing religion regularly, in terms of showing up to the building and doing and saying the words, and I haven't done that probably in 20 years, bro.
mm,
And
mhm,
like that part of it, I still think that, but oddly, I will still pray.
mm.
You know, I don't not believe. It's just the structure of religion is something I've always been a little 50-50 on, just because it's touched by man. And for me, whatever your course is for stillness, and the thing that I said in the special, it's a bit of a borrow from a Chappelle quote from a magazine. I don't know, probably during his went to Africa era, Chappelle,
Mhm.
where he talked about how every comedian needs to identify their joke machine, and how if you're creatively, whenever your creativity is at its highest, recognize the stimuli that you were feeding your mind with.
Mm,
And when you hit writer's block, do things that recreate those choices. So
mm. I
I
love
feel
that.
like, to a degree, happiness in the people that you're around is, that matters. I will say, to answer your question, I think the single most important thing that you can do to help your mental health is to surround yourself with people that are positive, if you can.
Yeah.
Genuine people are more important than positive people, but if you got relationships you're holding on to just because that's been your friend forever, well, people grow apart. If that motherfucker's negative and always sad and always frustrated and always all this other shit, you can't keep them in the mix.
Dude, that reminds me of two things. Bill Burr says if you're arguing with someone in your car and they're not there, that person's out. That person's out of your life. And then this isn't quite as on the nose, but you made me think of it. Jay-Z said, people say you've changed. My old friends say you've changed. He's like, you think I did all that work to stay the same? So that those two things kind of together, it's natural sometimes just because something ends or reaches its natural conclusion, or if your vibrations don't really sync up anymore, doesn't mean they're a bad person, doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's okay to go like, that's not really the energy I'm working with these days. I did that. I did a
Yeah,
big house cleaning. I hate calling it a house cleaning. I wasn't
nope.
sweeping anybody away.
But it
I was just
is.
I was just going like my wife, that's the energy I want. You know what I mean? And now that you have it,
Yeah.
once you see it, you go, well, I'm not going to settle for friends that make me feel like shit.
And I'm on some shit now where even the people that I plan to hire down the road, I'm combing social media. And it ain't
Mm.
even about you cracking some joke that could get us canceled. It's more about looking through your socials and just seeing how you carry pain,
I
you know,
like that. I like that.
and because you're going to be around other people, and and like that's something that I can't bring somebody in and hire them for my company and do a full psych eval. I'm sure that's evasive and rude, but
Yeah.
I think that someone's state of mind shouldn't matter if
Yes.
they're going to be around you. So, as
Yeah, that's
best you
good.
can kind of poke and prod that, I think you should. And if you can change it or be a vessel of help to them, cool. But if they're just wanting to pull themselves down and crash the car,
Yeah.
I'm not down for that ride anymore. I don't fuck with negative people. I
Yeah.
can't no more.
It's harder if you're standing on a table, it's harder for someone to pull you off than for you to pull them up. That doesn't mean we shouldn't try, but like if you're doing a show or something, 90% of your effort can't be like, let's fix your attitude. You know what I mean? Like that's beyond making a show is hard enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Managing people's I think that's really right on. And then
yeah.
the final, have you ever seen a ghost? You seem like you're a person that I would put a quarter in the jukebox and pick any subject. But I would love to hear if Roy Wood Jr. has ever seen a ghost or an alien or had some sort of psychic encounter that you can't explain.
I got jumped. I got jumped by some gangster disciples in the fourth grade when we first moved to Birmingham. And to get to the Five Points West Library, Birmingham West Side, I don't know what I'm talking about, but there used to be the South Park projects right by these railroad tracks off South Park Road. And to get to the library for computer classes, this is Apple IIe
Yeah.
era,
Yeah.
86,
Yeah, sure.
87-ish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have to walk through the South Park projects. That's the shortest way. Or you go 45 minutes out your way in a 95-degree heat index. That ain't the move. And they push me down and get ready. And some old dude comes up, get off, get that boy alone. And he like shoos him away. And when I get up to tell him thank you and I turn around, he's gone. And the length of time from when I got pushed down to them jumping him and his proximity to us and breaking up the fight to the time when I got up and looked, the sight lines of where he was, he should have still been in my sight.
Wow.
To me, that's some guardian angel shit. I got to find one of them disciples and see if they
Yeah, what's
if
their
they remember.
version? They watched him get beamed up.
Uh,
That's a good one, man.
when my pops died, I heard his ghost for a couple of weeks downstairs,
Huh.
still going through the motions of going to work. That was weird.
Whoa.
Like, I never saw it. I never went downstairs. And like there was,
But you heard the sounds of
yeah,
dad.
the sink running, him walking across the linoleum. I could hear the car start, even though there was no car there. Like
Whoa.
I distinctly heard that.
The
Like,
echo. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I for sure, I haven't seen evidence otherwise, but I for sure believe in that. And then
Hmm.
did I tell this story on CNN? I don't remember where I've never told it in detail, but um, I was fucking with this woman who had a dead husband, and the first time we tried to have sex, I got a real strong Charlie horse, and then I heard "stop it" in my ear,
No, no,
and I
no.
thought it was her telling me to stop. So I stopped, and then we just cuddled, and then I left after an hour, and then she cursed me out for wasting her time. Like she's sending like mean, like in this day, she's sending like mean text messages and all of this shit. And I call her, I go, what the fuck is your problem? You told me to stop. Ain't nobody said stop. I go, well, who the fuck said stop? Well, it wasn't me. And
Oh
I'm just
my
like, it was that fucking and and you can't
Oh
say
my
that to a
God.
woman. Like you just have to just go, yeah, you right. I wasted your time. Because I'm
You can't
because I'm
say
not gonna
your husband
I
is
can't yeah.
guarding your bed.
Yeah, I can't say the ghost of your dead husband is cop blocking the pussy. I'm sorry, I cannot come over anymore. That sounds crazier than
You,
just you ain't
Roy, are
shit.
you
You're
telling me
absolutely right. I am not shit,
you
and
took the
I'm sorry.
bullet? You said you're right. I am a tease.
How am I helping her fucking get over him dying? Now, in the husband's defense, it had only been 4 months since he died. I didn't know that at the time, but I
You
found
are.
out like
You are.
once I got to the house. So maybe. there's like a
You're a
period
funny,
of time.
you're a funny person.
I, I,
You had a tag to a story in his defense, in the ghost's defense. It had only been 4 months, and I think you got to wait at least 6.
those are
Those are the ghost rules.
those are my three supernatural, otherworld, whatever, what
Wow.
have you, encounters. The other one is ayahuasca, and I don't know if that counts because that's
Yeah,
like
you
a
did
different
that.
portal. Only once, and only did it for half the day. Like it was a 2 day thing. I left after the first day. I'm like, this is too
Too much.
much.
It was too much. The experience, or
This
just the
is
woo of
too,
it.
yeah, no, the experience. It was emotionally overwhelming, and like
Yeah.
on some. I'm not saying you see ghosts, but you find I guess in a dialogue with yourself, you discover new truths about yourself. And like
Mm,
that's part of where I came to the conclusion like, oh, my dad cheated a lot because he just wanted to be loved because he never got love. And so he sought love in the wrong
mm,
form.
mm,
And that's why
mm,
he behaved like that. It
mm,
wasn't that he fucking hated me and my mom. He was just trying to heal, but he was going about it wrong. Someone could have told him. Why couldn't I have told him if he just stayed
mm.
alive longer?
Oh, wow.
And then you sober up, you have a banana, and you go, hey man, I'm gonna fucking leave. I'm going back to Los Angeles. This is
And
too
and
much.
and Neil Brennan goes, Roy, you didn't even give it a chance. You didn't even give it a chance.
It
I
was
can't do it, Roy.
Neil's guy.
It was Neil's guy. I knew. Put down the
Yeah,
banana and try it again. Roy, try it. I can't do him. I
dude,
can
you're
hear him in my
running.
voice.
Why are you running?
What are you running
Just
from?
stop running.
Just
You should
stop.
stay a week. You should
Stop.
stay a week.
Stay
Turn your
awake.
phone off.
It's disrespectful. He's playing the Kwachu Tutuawa. You gotta listen to the
Ah.
whole song.
Yeah, you got to be really comfortable with strangers to vomit in a bucket that's getting passed around. There's like some hygiene parts of it too that I was a little like this. I'm gonna bring my
Sketched
own
on.
bucket next time if I
Got to
do
bring your
this
own
again.
bucket. Bring your own
Yeah,
bucket.
this is too much, sir.
Roy, this is my favorite show business compliment. I got it from Conan. He called Martin Short a day off. He goes, if Martin Short's on the show, it's a day off, meaning you don't have to do any work. You, sir,
Yeah.
are a day off. I
Well, thank
loved
you, man.
every second. You are a true talent. And Lonely Flowers is on Hulu. Well, this will drop whenever you want, but when's it come
Yeah,
out?
we can just say it's streaming now. It comes
Oh, it's
out
streaming.
January 17th. It comes out Friday.
Oh,
I know we're
it'll be
not
out.
dropping
It'll be
live.
out. It's out. It's out
Okay.
now, no matter when we
Yeah.
drop it, because we drop on Wednesdays. So it is out now, and you really are a master. And I'm just so, I don't know, like, you ever feel about stand-ups like it's our people, and like you did our group something good by showing how it's done and doing it properly. And,
Well,
and
thank you, brother.
so I'm really you know, grateful for what you did. So, and I laughed my ass
Man,
off. I really
thank you,
did,
man.
and I needed it. I needed it.
I appreciate you, man. Always a good conversation with you
Yeah,
because you
I
give
hope
a
to
fuck.
see you. Yeah, man, I do. And I hope to see you in person. And check it out on Hulu. And we end the show with the guest saying, keep it crispy. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a trap. You just say, keep it
Yeah.
crispy, and we're done.
Yeah. Keep it crispy, y'all.
There it is. Thank you, Roy. That was great.
You made it weird.